Hello friends, it's Jana Eubank. I am back with another scrapbooking process video using the beautiful February 2025 hip kits. This is the Our Stories collection. These are exclusive products only available at Hip Kit Club, and they are wonderful. I especially love the color scheme for this month's kits. It has lots of blues and oranges and greens, but there's also a hint of pink. Beautiful florals, fun graphic patterns, lots of fun for any type of memory or any type of page that you may be creating. Now today I'm going to be working on a layout that is scrapbooking the first time that we got a cat. I grew up with dogs in my house. We never had cats, and so this was quite a memory of when we decided to get our first cat. We now have two, and the bug has bit all of my kids as they've moved out to their own homes. They've all gotten cats as well. Now I'm going to be using my color scheme, which is primarily blue and orange, which are complementary colors on the color wheel. These work together really nicely. So I'm going to be using this tulip pattern paper as the background, and then I framed it out with that graphic oval orange print. I wanted to use the speech bubble stamps and dies to create a really dynamic title with lots of layers and lots of detail today. And so I know that I want to use a plain background. So I'm pulling in this ledger pattern paper as a third additional layer for my base. And this will be the layer that is directly behind my photos and also my journaling and my title. Now I wanted to call more attention to my main photo, so I did mat that up with some Grow green cardstock from the Cardstock kit, and then that fun strip pattern paper that has all of those fun, it almost looks like washi strips or pattern paper strips on that pattern paper. So I've matted that main photo there. My other two photos are just matted with some white cardstock. So I've trimmed down this ledger paper, and I'm bringing in the vellum letters from the main kit. Now, my title that I want to have here is when my daughter texted us this photo. She was at a friend's house, and they were visiting a neighbor who had a litter of kittens. And so they were playing with these kittens, and she took this photo of this little black kitten and texted it to me and my husband and said, "Hey, can we get a cat?" So that is going to be my title. And I thought using the speech bubbles stamp and die set for this would be really fun, because it all started with that text, and these text bubbles remind me of, the text bubbles that you see on your phone. So I'm going to stamp out a few of these. I'm using some navy ink from my stash just to match in with the navy colors that are in the collection. And while I have these out, I'm just going to go ahead and stamp several of these images so that I have some for later use if I decide to use them on another page later. Now these vellum letters come in the main kit, and they are fantastic. They come in all these different colors, and there wasn't a question mark, so I just decided to trim a letter S to create the question mark for my title. The next thing I'm going to do is layer up a couple of these images of the speech bubbles, and then use the glitter foam alphabet stickers to create the other words in my title. Those glitter foam alpha stickers come in the main kit as well, and they are beautiful. You have two full sheets of them. One is like a dark teal peacock color. Here's a closer look here. And then you also get like a coral color, and they're wonderful. They have lots of fun squishy dimension to them, but also they are so glittery and so pretty, and the glitter does not transfer off. It's wonderful. So I'm going to use one of the speech bubbles to say mom and dad, comma, and then can we get a, and then the cat question mark will be those vellum letters. And I'm going to layer these up together. So I'm just going to take a minute to get these situated. Now, as I put these speech bubbles there, I feel like I need a third one. I feel like it's, the rule of odds, right? That you want to have an odd number of things. So I decided to bring in another speech bubble, and I'm going to look for a phrase that I can add to that. So I'm just flipping through the embellishments off camera. I found that little chipboard tab that I added to the top left corner of the main photo. And now I'm flipping through these cardstock shape cards to see if there's a little word or phrase that I can trim down and add to the center of that top speech bubble. I didn't didn't find anything that would work, but I did pull out these 2 green cards, and I'm going to tuck them under the right edge of those 2 smaller photos. My idea is to trim them down a little bit and make them look like little banner or pennant shapes that will be layered coming out from the right side of those photos, and I'll work on those in a minute. I'm switching over to the Rubons from the embellishment kit and looking for something that I might want to use. And this phrase that says, "the story of our life" in green caught my eye, and I figured, you know what? I think I'm going to be able to trim these words apart and add that to our speech bubble. And it's a nice general phrase that will just kick off that little text chat, I guess, that's happening at the top. So I tucked in that speech bubble and thought it would fit on the page. And I used a pencil to trace the shape of the other speech bubble that would be overlapping it. So as I go to put these Rubons onto this one, that I won't accidentally, put them where I want to overlap the speech bubble. So here I am just spacing out the words, and I wanted to start with this word "the," and I'm just lightly adding these to the top row to see how I need to space these out. Now, as I go to do this, I set the Rubon down without the liner or the carrier sheet, and it gets stuck to the pattern or the cardstock speech bubble. And so I tried to carefully lift it up, but the Rubon folded on top of itself. It like flipped up. And so I wasn't able to use that word "the." So no worries. I'm popping over to the Pocket Life kit and I'm checking to see if there's any phrases that have the word "the" in it. And I did see one, actually 2 of them. And so I'm like, you know what? I can go ahead and still use this phrase. I'm just going to stamp that word "the" after I get the rest of the words down. So one by one, I'll peel off the backer sheet for each of these little Rubons and just space them out into 2 lines on that long skinny speech bubble. So I'll take a minute to do that. Once I get that done, I'm going to grab some green ink from my stash and I'm going to stamp the word "the." There's actually 2 phrases in here. I initially wanted to do the one that was larger from the story phrase, but after I had put down my Rubons, I didn't have enough room. I didn't space it out correctly. So fortunately, I found a smaller typewritten phrase that had the word "the." And so I'm just going to ink up that word and just add it to the front of that phrase. So it does read "the story of our life." And it worked out just fine. So you know what? If you ever make a mistake on your project, no worries. You just keep moving along and find a way to fix it. And that's what I did here today. So I've gone ahead and adhered down those speech bubbles and I'm ready to move on to these little banner pieces. So these square pieces are about 2.5 inches tall, I think, or actually 2.5 inches square. And I decided to trim off 1/4 inch from the top and bottom, making them 2 inches. And then I'm going to trim the right edge of each of these into a banner shape and then just tuck them in behind my photo layers. And I really like how that looks. One of them says "quoted," which goes along with my speech bubbles, right? I was quoting what my daughter had texted us about the kittens. And then the other one says "real life," which is just a fun general phrase for everyday memories, which this is. So I'm going to go ahead and tuck those in. Now, after I had done this, I decided that I wanted to carry that green color over to the left side of the page. And so I'm going to go to my scraps here. And this is actually the other side of that washi strip paper. And it has a green dot pattern. And I'm just going to cut a strip here to tuck in under my photo and make it appear as though that green color stretches across the entire page behind those photos. Okay, I'm totally cracking up. I had to pause for a second because my cat, if you rewind the video, was meowing in the background. I have my door to my office shut, and whenever she can't find me, this is another cat, not this black cat, but our other cat. She just meows all over the house, and she'll bring me an ink blender from my office. Anyway, I'm cracking up because this layout is about a cat, and there's my cat meowing in the background. So sorry about that. She has stopped now, so I'll keep going with the video. Anyway, back to the layout. I added that strip of the green polka dot paper behind the photos there so that it looks as though, or that green color gets balanced out on both sides of the page. Now, I also wanted to bring in some kind of strip here on the bottom. Again, rule of thirds. I wanted 3 little banner pieces there. So I grabbed the branding strip or the pattern branding strip from that navy floral paper that is in orange in color, and I place that across the bottom, which just kind of anchors all of those green elements together. I also like that it repeats that orangey yellow color from the question mark in the title, so we'll keep moving on. Now I also wanted to repeat that reddish color, so I found this frame in the main kit, and I just tucked a little piece behind the photo. I'm going to use actually both pieces of this frame to just add that color and just to balance it around. And also it's just interesting. It's fun to have these little layers peeking out. I went ahead and added that Good Stuff tab to the top of the photo. I do end up taking that off eventually, but for now it's just going to sit there while I continue to work on the page. Also from the chipboard die cuts, those are also from the main kit, were these hearts, and I decided to use all 5 of them together, kind of surrounding this title here, really making its punch and stand out or pop on the page. Sorry, I'm stumbling on my words today. So I went ahead and sprinkled those 5 hearts around the title and popped those up with some foam squares. And then from the embellishment kit, I grabbed 2 of the red photo corners. I felt like I needed to create like a visual triangle of the red color around the page, and so that's why I added those photo corners there. Now I will come back and take those off eventually as well. I'm just pointing that out because as I continue to add die cuts and other elements, it starts to feel a little busy to me. And if you've watched my videos in the past, you know that embellishing is my absolute favorite part, and so I kind of get carried away because I want to like use everything, right? I want to try a little of this, a little of that, and as I get towards the end, I always have to edit a bit. So those photo corners will come off, and I actually will remove one to the photo and replace that blue chipboard tab that I talked about earlier. Okay, so back to the embellishing. I had gone to the main kit and pulled out some die cuts here to start adding some other elements on my page, and I chose to use this iPhone image or the cell phone image that says news today, because this page is all about a text chat that started our journey with the cat. So I thought that would be a fitting piece for that. I also added in the little film strip just tucked under the left edge of that phone. And then I am using 2 of the label shapes from the embellishment kit to add my journaling to the bottom of this page. Now, why do I do that? If I have ledger paper on the background, why wouldn't I just write my journaling right onto that ledger paper? You definitely can do that, but I love to call out my journaling just as much as I love to call out my title. And so because my title is so detailed, I also want my journaling to stand out a bit as well. And those shapes are going to balance the speech bubble shapes that are at the top of the page. I had a few corners that I needed to fill in, so I went to the floral die cuts from the embellishment kit, and I picked out these little pom-pom shaped flowers or starbursts, whatever you want to call them. And I decided to use all of those in 3 places around the page as well. I love to use a repeating shape like this that just keeps your eye moving around the page, but also it adds a sense of balance to the layout when you have repetitive elements like that. To the centers of each of those little pom-pom flower shapes, I added a puffy sticker circle. So I'm just working on distributing the colors here. I also pulled in a few of the puffy hearts from the puffy shape stickers. Because I have hearts around the title, I thought it'd be fun to put some hearts down at the bottom of the page. So I added the orange one to the navy chipboard piece that's on the photo. Of course, that will end up leaving, but I did put 2 other hearts down by the bottom of the right corner of the page, and those will end up staying. Now, I have this set of sparkle gems that have been sitting on my desk forever, and I love the bright blue color, and I just haven't been able to get them used up. So I've left them on my desk actually to just to keep staring at me. So they were sitting there and I'm like, oh my gosh, they go perfect with this kit. I'm going to add those in. So those are actually from my stash, but I love the little detail and sparkle that it adds. It also continues that blue page or that blue color around the page that can be found in that blue pom-pom and the blue label. So I love that sprinkling of the blue gems. I went ahead and moved the photo corner to the top of the photo. And I like that because we have the silver foiled words on those banner shapes on the right side of the page. And so I like that photo corner actually repeats that silver foiled element on the other half of the page, bringing your eye across. Now, I had a bit of space above the photo that just felt a little awkward. And so I needed to find something to fill that space. And that's where I brought in that row of puffy arrows. They were already positioned like that on the sticker sheet. So I just cut out that section from the clear backing, placed it there. And I'm like, I love it, so I went ahead and adhered it just like it was. Now, my final thing that I did to add some texture and more attention or detail to this layout was to stitch those vellum letters. So I went ahead and found some embroidery floss in my stash that matched the colors of each of those letters and took the time to hand stitch those. I will add some journaling off camera to my 2 label pieces, but here's just a quick tour through all of the parts of the project. I hope you enjoyed this. If you've enjoyed this project, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. That will help other scrapbookers find our videos and to keep watching. Anyway, these are the Hip Kits February 2025 kits. They're beautiful, so much fun. I can't wait to keep creating, and I hope you'll stop by the Hip Kit Club YouTube channel to see more inspiration using these kits from the other team members. Thanks so much for stopping by. We'll see you again soon.